The market on the outer edge of the trade planet Velix 7 was loud, hot, and crowded. Alien voices filled the air, each one shouting to sell something old, broken, or stolen. Smells of oil, rust, and stale food mixed together. It was a place where hope came to die, and survival was all that mattered. Cale walked through the stalls, head low, jacket zipped up, face half hidden. He didn't want attention. He just needed spare parts for his shuttle, nothing more. His ship had broken down 2 sectors away, and this market was the only place nearby with working tech or something close to it. He passed by broken drone wings, half-dead batteries, cracked helmets, even what looked like a melted AI core. Junk, all of it. Still, he kept walking, hoping he'd find something useful. Then he heard a voice, soft, strange, and too calm for a place like this. "You're late," the voice said. Cale turned. Sitting behind a pile of scrap shaded under a torn canvas was a girl alien, no doubt, with glowing lavender eyes and silver blue skin. Her legs were thin and twisted, folded awkwardly in a rusted hover chair that looked like it hadn't floated in years. She wore a scarf around her head and a long coat over her shoulders, but nothing could hide the weakness in her limbs or the sharp intelligence in her eyes. Cale frowned. "What?" She looked at him, really looked, and a small smile touched her lips. "Do you remember me?" she asked. He blinked. "No." "You should," she said. "You chose me." Cale stepped back a little. His hand went to the side of his belt, where his old blaster used to hang. It wasn't there anymore. He hadn't needed it in years. But now, something about this girl made the hairs on his neck rise. "I think you've got the wrong man," he said. She didn't move. "Couldn't, maybe?" But her voice didn't shake. "I waited 10 years for you," she said. "Now you stand here, pretending you don't know me." Cale stared at her face. There was something familiar about it. Not just the eyes, but the shape of her jaw, the way she held her head, like someone who once stood tall, even if her body now betrayed her. "I don't remember you," Cale said, softer this time. She pulled something from the folds of her coat, a small chip old and dusty. She tossed it toward him. He caught it. "Play that," she said. Tonight, in private, Cale didn't speak. He just nodded once and turned to leave. But before he did, he glanced down at her hover chair. It was held together with wire, bolts, and luck, no repulsors, no charge cells, just scrap. She was living in this junk pile. As he walked away, the girl behind him whispered, just loud enough for him to hear, "You told me I was worth saving, that I would lead one day. Then they took your memory." Cale stopped in his tracks. The heat of the market faded. The noise of traders and machines blurred. He didn't turn back, not yet. But something inside him stirred, a shadow of a memory he couldn't reach. A desert, a child's scream, a promise, and a ship on fire. That night, in a run-down room above a tavern, Cale wiped the chip clean and inserted it into his old pad. The screen flickered. A video began to play. A young alien girl, glowing and bright, with no scars, no twisted limbs, smiled at the camera. "I am Princess Lyra of House Velinari," she said. "And this is my last message before I am erased." Cale leaned closer. The girl in the video looked exactly like the one from the market, but whole. Strong, brave, she continued. "The council has ordered my removal. I'm seen as weak, born, broken, but a human soldier has chosen me. He says I'm not broken. He says I'm royal, and I choose him too." Then another voice came through the recording, rough, warm, human. "As long as I breathe," the voice said, "she lives." Cale's heart stopped. That was his voice, but he had no memory of it. The screen glitched and went dark. Cale sat there, in silence, his hands shaking. In that moment, he realized something terrifying. She wasn't lying, and someone had stolen his past. Down in the slums of Velix 7, the girl in the broken chair stared at the sky. A single tear slid down her cheek, glowing faintly as it fell. "He'll remember," she whispered. "He has to." The night was quiet, but inside Cale's chest, His heart felt like a war drum. He stared at the black screen where the video had just ended. The room around him was dark, lit only by a flickering neon sign outside the tavern window. He hadn't moved in nearly an hour. The voice in the recording was his, there was no doubt. But his memory empty, like someone had wiped it clean. She called herself Princess Lyra and said he chose her, but how could that be true? He was no prince, no guardian of royalty. He was just a former pilot with a broken past, grounded after the war with no honors. Left. Yet that voice, his voice, had sounded so sure, so protective. He couldn't sleep. So he didn't try. Instead, Cale opened an old locked folder in his pad, one he hadn't touched in years. Inside were encrypted logs from the battlefield. Most were marked classified. A few were corrupted. But one video played, a soldier's body cam. Footage, dusty and shaken. Fire burned through the ruins of a city, alien spires broken, glass roads cracked. Screams echoed in the smoke. There, tucked inside a shelter made from scrap, was a child. Not just any child. Her, Lyra. But this version was smaller, maybe 8 or 9. She crawled on the ground, dragging half-dead limbs behind her, covering another child with her body. A sibling, maybe. Her hands were shaking, her back was bloody, and she was smiling at the person holding the camera. "You came," she whispered. The soldier Cale knelt and wrapped her in a thermal cloak. The footage blurred, then cleared. Another voice in the background shouted, "She's a royal reject. Leave her." Gungar, angrier, growled back, "You want her to die? Not happening?" Then the camera turned to show Cale's face, younger and full of fire. "If command won't extract her," he said, "I'll do it myself." Cale paused the video. His chest tightened. He hadn't just rescued her. He'd defied orders. He had risked everything. And now, years later, she remembered all of it, while he remembered nothing. Why? He scanned the video files again, fast, then stopped at something strange, a medical tag, linked to a file named Memory Seal Protocol Code. Valkyrie, access denied. He tapped, entered old clearance codes, still denied. He hacked the lock anyway. The screen blinked twice, then opened. A small report scrolled up, cold and simple. Subject Cale Dren, guardian of royal candidate Lyra Velinari. Memory seal executed after unlawful extraction of forbidden air. Reason, mental collapse due to emotional attachment. Risk level, high. Result, memories locked to prevent destabilization. Cale leaned back, eyes wide. They had erased his memories. Not because he failed, but because he cared too much. They didn't want him to remember the girl in the chair, because he chose her. And she chose him. He slammed the pad shut. The past wasn't just forgotten, it had been stolen by morning. He was at the edge of the market again. The sun hadn't risen fully. Traders were still yawning, setting up crates. A cold wind ran through the alleys. He found her in the same spot, arms tucked around her knees, head down. She looked like a broken doll someone had left behind. Cale crouched in front of her. "I saw it," he said. She lifted her head, eyes tired, and she asked, "I remember enough," he said. "Not everything, but enough to know I failed." "You know," she said, "you saved me once. That's more than anyone else ever did." He nodded. Then he asked something he wasn't ready to ask the night before. "Why now? Why come find me?" She pulled a small glowing disc from her coat, a royal crest, cracked but still shining. "Because they know I'm alive," she said. "And they're coming for you?" Cale asked. "No," she said. "For us." He stared at her, heart pounding. "They erased me from the royal lines," she said. "Said I wasn't fit to lead. Said no one would ever stand beside someone like me, but you did." "Lyra," Cale said slowly, "you're saying they'll kill anyone who remembers?" "I'll burn the truth," she said. "And right now, you are the truth." Suddenly a loud hum shook the ground. Above them, a shadow blocked the sky. Cale looked up. A royal scout ship hovered silently over the market. "Lights scanning the streets. They found us." she said calmly. Kale grabbed the handles of her rusted hover chair. Then I'll get you out again, he said. And this time he meant it. The scout ship above the market didn't make a sound, but its presence made every creature freeze. Merchants ducked behind stalls. Customers scattered like insects. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Kale didn't stop to look. His hands gripped the sides of Lyra's rusted hover chair. The wheels groaned in protest as he pushed her through the narrow alley, and weaving between crates, cables, and frightened eyes. Behind them, the ship lowered, not fast, not slow like a predator. Confident its prey couldn't escape. Shortcut, Lyra said quickly. Left at the red tarp, Kale didn't question her. He turned sharply, nearly toppling the chair as they flew past a pile of salvage. A pair of cloaked guards spotted them and shouted, in a language he almost remembered. Not from school, but from war. He shoved harder. Where are we going? He asked. Someplace I wasn't supposed to remember, Lyra said. The hover chair hit a bump and jolted. One of the back wheels snapped loose. She cried out, grabbing the side. Kale dropped. To one knee, yanked the broken part off and threw it aside. Without thinking, he lifted her into his arms. She weighed almost nothing. Hold on, he said. I always do, she answered behind them. Metal boots hit the ground. Kale ran. His boots pounded the old stone path as scanners lit up behind him. Red beams sliced past his shoulder. He ducked under a collapsed awning, kicked down a gate, and dropped into a sewer chute. The walls were slimy and dark, but Lyra's directions were clear. Right now left, ladder ahead. He didn't stop. Only when the tunnel opened into a forgotten storage vault beneath the old city did he finally fall to his knees, gasping for air. The room was circular. Broken royal crates sat stacked in the corners. A cracked throne emblem was painted on the floor. Dust filled the air. Kale set Lyra down gently. She touched a stone in the wall, one with a small shimmer of light. In its cracks, the wall slid open. Kale stared as a hidden room revealed itself. Inside were relics, royal scrolls, old weapons, faded banners, and a glowing crown made of crystal and bone. This was my mother's, Lyra said, pointing. Before the queen betrayed her, Kale stepped inside slowly. This place is from the old rule, he said. She nodded. The last time Mercy sat on the throne? Why didn't your father protect you? Yes, Lyra lowered her eyes. He wanted an heir of power, she said. It's not one born with. Useless legs. My mother hid me at birth, told the stars I died, but one day he found out. He said I was a curse. Kale clenched his fists. Then he told the council to erase me, she continued. But I didn't cry. I watched him walk away and promised myself I would live long enough to be the scar on his legacy. Kale turned away, anger rising in his chest. And then you came, she whispered. He faced her again. I don't remember saving you, said. But I believe I did. And I'll do it again, outside. Footsteps echoed down the tunnels. They had found the chute. Kale grabbed one of the old weapons from the rack, a plasma blade. I'll bub live. I'll hold him off, he said. She reached for him. Don't have to. Yes, he said. I do. He stepped into the outer room, sealing the secret door behind him. Seconds later, the guards entered. 3 of them. Royal crest on their armor, blasters raised. One of them spoke, voice cold. Step aside. We only want the girl. Kale raised the blade. She's not yours to take. You are nothing, the guard said. Kale didn't blink. I was her protector. Before I knew her name, I'll die before I forget it again. Then the first shot fired. He moved faster than he remembered possible. The blade hissed, deflecting one bolt, slicing through another. He spun low, knocked one guard into a crate, and ducked behind cover. Pain burned in his shoulder. Shot had grazed him. Still he stood. The guards regrouped. Then a new sound echoed, a horn, deep and distant. The type used only by royal bloodlines. To signal an heir's claim, the door behind Kale slid open again. Lyra rolled forward, not in her broken chair, standing barely. Holding the ancient crown, her voice cut through the vault. I am Princess Lyra Velinari, she declared. Daughter of the true queen, born of storm and mercy. You will not touch my protector. The guards froze. One dropped his weapon, another knelt, and the third slowly turned and ran. Cale stared at her. You stood, he said quietly. She trembled but smiled. Because you carried me when I couldn't. The underground vault was quiet now. 2 of the guards had fled. One still lay unconscious, his weapon kicked far across the floor. Lyra stood shakily, her hand gripping the old crown. Her body trembled, her knees locked, but her spine stayed straight. Cale stood next to her, blood dripping from his shoulder. The blade in his hand hummed low, its edges flickering with fading energy. Smoke curled around them from the fight. Dust still danced in the air. You shouldn't be standing, Cale said, not angry, just afraid. I shouldn't be alive, she replied. He nodded once. Fair enough. Suddenly a violent shake ripped through the floor. Pipes burst above them. Red lights flickered across the ceiling. She sent the hunter, Lyra whispered. Cale's eyes sharpened. Who? My stepmother's executioner, she said. He wears her crest. He doesn't stop. Cale cursed under his breath, he knew. That name from his sealed war files? General Voth, half machine, half beast, zero mercy, killer forged in war, and fed only one order, erase shame from the bloodline. You can't fight him, Lyra said. I don't have to, Cale replied. I just have to keep you breathing. He helped her sit against the vault wall, hiding her behind the broken banners. Then he stepped into the center of the room. The main entrance blasted open. A figure stepped through, taller than any man, wrapped in obsidian armor, glowing red from every joint. His helmet had no eyes, only a slit that bled light. Step away from the failed one, the voice growled. I'll share her fate. Cale didn't flinch. You'll get to her, he said, over my body. That can be arranged. The machine charged. Cale blocked the first strike, barely the blow, sent him flying into the pillar. His ribs screamed, but he stood again. The hunter fired twin blasters. Cale rolled across the floor, flipped behind a crate, and threw the last of the old war grenades. It exploded in a shower of flame, but the hunter kept walking, armor smoking. Undamaged, Lyra watched from behind the banners, fists clenched. She could see the pain in Cale's eyes now. The way he moved fast but tired, sharp but hurting.
Ow.
He had no memory of their past, but he was still doing the same thing, putting his body between her and death. Cale coughed blood, then stood again, gripping the hilt of the ancient blade with both hands. Why? The hunter asked. She's broken. She's nothing. Why protect her? Cale shouted back without thinking, because she's more royal than any of you. The hunter roared and charged again. This time Cale didn't dodge. He met him head on. Blade swinging, it wasn't enough. The machine's fist hit his chest like a hammer. He flew back, crashed through a support beam, and didn't get upright. Away, Lyra cried out. Her legs trembled. Her fingers gripped the old crown so tightly it cracked. Then something deep inside her shifted. She touched the cracked gem at the crown's center. It pulsed. Not weak, not broken, but alive. It burned. Her palm. She let go. The glow didn't stop. The banner behind her lifted in the breeze. Of the chamber's energy, her eyes glowed brighter than before. Cale tried to crawl to his feet, blood running from his mouth. The hunter raised a blaster, and then Lyra stepped out. Her steps were uneven, slow, but her posture was no longer small. The cracked crown floated behind her now. Pieces of old armor hovered from the crates wrapping around her. The vault responded to her blood. She wasn't hiding anymore. The room recognized its queen. The hunter turned. You, she raised her hand. The crown locked into place above her. Head, her voice rang out like thunder. This is your final warning. The hunter hesitated. Just enough. Cale lunged forward with everything he had left. His blade pierced the weak point in the back of the armor. It's the only exposed link. The executioner fell. Hard Cale collapsed next to the body, gasping. Lyra rushed forward, dropped to her knees beside him, her legs giving out once again. He looked. At her, smiling through the pain. "You stood up again," he said. "You told me I was never weak," she whispered. Then she pressed her forehead against his. "And now, you'll never fight alone again." The crown hovered in the air, cracked, glowing, alive. It circled slowly above Lyra's head, responding not just to her blood, but to her will. And the vault, buried beneath centuries of dust and silence, began to breathe. Pillars lit one by one. Walls shifted. Forgotten machines powered on, recognizing their queen. The banner of House Velinari unfolded from the ceiling. Fluttering in the still air like a heartbeat returned, Kale sat slouched against the broken pillar, chest rising. Slowly, face bruised and bleeding. He didn't speak, but he watched her, not with awe, but with something deeper. Recognition. Lyra limped to the center of the chamber. The armor on her arms rattled but held. Her legs shook, but she didn't fall. She placed both hands on the throne. Emblem etched into the floor. A beam of light rose from beneath it. Flickering with holograms, a 3D map bloomed in the air, wide as a room, spinning slowly. It showed dozens of worlds connected by golden lines, each one pulsing faintly. Kale stood, groaning through the pain, and walked closer. "What is this?" she said, is what they were hiding. She reached forward and tapped a world. Near the center, it pulsed red. Then the map shifted. 3 royal seals appeared in front of her. 2 of them were dim, faded to gray. "Those were the old lines," she said. "One destroyed in war, one collapsed when its air vanished." Kale looked at her. "You." She nodded. "The last line," she said, pointing to the 3rd seal, "was claimed by my stepmother when I disappeared. But her rule never reached the core worlds. The people are waiting." "For what? For someone real," she said. "Someone they thought was dead." The light scanned her palm, then her face. Soft chime echoed. "Identity match, Princess Lyra Velinari. Last verified blood of House Velinari status. Alive, line restored." The map shifted again. A golden bridge formed between her symbol and a vacant throne. A new voice played from the system. Not robotic, but human-like. Gentle, hopeful. Crown link incomplete. Candidate lacks bonded protector. Royal assent paused until guardian chosen. Kale stared at the words floating in the air. "What does that mean?" "It means I can't." "Take the throne alone," she said. "Our laws were written when loyalty meant something. A Velinari ruler must rise with someone who'd bleed beside them. A bonded protector." Kale turned to her. "You mean a husband?" "No," she said, stepping closer. "I mean someone who'd die with me, not just live with me." He didn't. "Speak right away." So she added softly, "You were that once. You chose me when the galaxy wanted me dead. Now I'm asking again." Kale looked at her, really looked. The broken limbs, the half-healed scars, the fire in her eyes, and something inside him unlocked. A flood of memories came crashing through, not full, not sharp, but real. Her laugh inside a burning ship, her hand in his during a rescue, her voice singing to him in the dark when he had nothing else left. The way she smiled at him when no one else did. "I never stopped choosing you," he said. She reached out her hand, trembling. "Then bind with me," she whispered. Kale took. Her hand, the crown above them, pulsed once, then split in 2. One half floated to her, the other to him. Light wrapped around their hands, up their arms, across their chests. Symbols appeared on their skin, ancient, glowing, alive. The chamber rumbled. The throne emblem rose from the floor, forming a platform. The golden bridge on the map turned solid. Then a signal launched from the vault. A. Transmission sent across galaxies. 1 sentence only. The line lives. The queen rises. And she is not alone. Aimed. In faraway palaces, old enemies stirred. In cities that had forgotten her name, the banners lit again, in the shadows of space. Watchers received the message and whispered to each other, "She returns." And the human stands with her. Kale and Lyra stood together at the center of the vault. He looked at the bond, mark glowing on her wrist. She looked at the same mark glowing on his chest. "I thought I was too broken to lead," she said. "You're not," he answered. "And what are you now?" she asked. Kale smiled gently. "I'm the shield that stands between you and everything that ever tried to break you." The royal city did not sleep. When the sky turned red with the twin sons of morning, horns echoed from the palace towers. The people gathered fast, nobles in robes, soldiers in armor, merchants in dust-covered coats. They all came to see what no one believed could be real. Princess Lyra Velinari, daughter of the old line, returned. She walked through the palace gates with Kale beside her. Each step was slow. Not because she was weak, but because she wanted the world to see her walk. Her twisted legs were wrapped in armored braces. Her steps were uneven, but she walked tall, and no one dared look away. Kale walked just behind her, wearing the bonded crest across his chest. His body ached from the last battle, but he didn't limp. He moved like a man who had something to protect. The gates opened into the royal square, a place once built for coronations, now filled with whispers. She lives. She's crippled. She has a human. She has the crown. Da-da-da-da-da. Head advisor of the council stepped forward, draped in silver cloth. His voice was cold but smooth. "You arrive without summon, princess? You hold a crown not yet blessed, and you claim a throne without challenge." Lyra said nothing. Kale stepped forward. "Challenge her then." The advisor's smile was thin. "The laws are clear. If a forgotten heir returns, they must face the trial of blood. Combat against the one chosen by the council." Kale spoke without waiting. "I'll fight for her." Lyra touched his arm. "You don't have to." He looked at her and spoke quietly. "Yes, I do. Because the last time I chose you, I never got to finish the fight." The arena was ancient, hidden below the palace. Once used for royal trials, no one remembered. Now its gates opened again. Kale stepped into the circle alone. Across from him stood a beast of a man, the council's champion, covered in scaled armor, wielding a double-bladed hammer that pulsed with charge. He was not royal, but he had been trained since youth to kill for the throne. Lyra stood above the ring. Behind the viewing glass, her hand pressed to the wall. Kale flexed his fingers. He carried only one weapon, the same ancient blade that had saved Lyra before. The match began with silence. Then the beast charged. Kale dodged left. The hammer struck the floor, sending stone flying. Kale rolled and sliced low, but the armor held. Another strike came, this one faster. It caught Kale across the ribs, hit the ground hard. Blood filled his mouth. He stood again. The crowd watched in silence. This was not a war of nations. It was a war of proof. The beast attacked again. Kale blocked, slipped, struck again and again. For every blow he took, he gave one back. But he was smaller, slower, wounded, and the champion laughed. "You're not her protector," he growled. "You're her weakness." Kale wiped the blood from his mouth. "No," he said. "I'm her memory." And something changed. Kale stopped moving backward, charged instead. He dropped low, swung high, and drove his blade through the joint. Between the beast's shoulder plates, sparks flew. The armor cracked. The champion roared and grabbed Kale by the throat. Kale didn't fight the grip. Instead, he stared straight into the man's eyes. "Even if you kill me," he said, "the people have already seen her. Standing, leading, breathing. She is the throne now." The beast hesitated. Kale twisted the blade. The hammer dropped. The crowd rose to their feet. Later, in the quiet of the royal chamber, Kale sat on a stone bench, blood soaking his side. Lyra knelt beside him, her hands pressed to the wound. "You nearly died," she whispered. "I'll heal," he said. "Besides, I've died before." She looked at him sharply. He smiled only once. "When they took you from me," she pressed, her forehead to his. "You've done enough," she whispered. "They'll follow me now, even the ones who feared me." "They don't follow you because you walked into the palace," he said. "They follow you because you walked into fire and didn't burn." She leaned back, looking at him. "They'll name me queen tomorrow," she said, "but I already know who I serve." Kale raised an eyebrow. Who? She touched his hand. The one who carried me before the galaxy saw my worth. The one who stood in front of death and said, not this one. Kale closed his eyes and whispered, then I'll keep standing. And from that night on, the story spread not just of the crippled princess who returned, but of the human who bled to give her back her name. The throne room had not been used in 10 years. Dust covered the floor. The stained glass above was cracked from age. The golden banners of House Velinari hung in silence, waiting for someone worthy to pass beneath them again. Now the doors opened, wide, and the crowd held its breath. Lyra walked forward, her crown fixed above her head, the royal armor shining with light. Her braces clicked gently as she moved, but her steps never paused. Her cloak swept behind her like the trail of a comet. Kale stood behind her, not dressed in royal colors, but in the gear of a protector, his blade at his side, his eyes sharp, his presence steady. She crossed the hall slowly. Soldiers bowed, advisors lowered their heads. Old enemies watched from the shadows, silent now, because the crippled girl they tried to erase had returned, not as a ghost, as a queen. At the end of the hall, a voice spoke. Name yourself, the master scribe called. Lyra stopped at the base. Of the throne, I am Lyra Velinari, she said, first daughter of the fallen queen, chosen by fire, proven by blood. I claim my right not because of birth, but because I stood when they said I could not. The room was silent. Then the scribe turned and wrote her name into the book of lines the throne lit. She stepped forward and took her seat, but instead of raising her chin with pride, she turned to the people and lifted her hand. Rise with me, she said, because the days of silence are over. That night, a message was sent across the stars. It reached broken colonies and distant moons. It reached war-torn cities and forgotten planets. A single line across every screen. The queen has returned, and she brings peace with a shield at her side. In her private chamber, Lyra sat by the window, staring out at the stars. Her body ached, her mind raced, her heart was calm. Kale entered without knocking. You should be resting, he said. So should you, he replied. He walked to her side and leaned on the wall. They'll want alliances, plans, armies. I'll give them something better, she said. A future. Kale nodded slowly. Then he asked the one question he had held all day. Do you still feel like the girl they called broken? She turned her head, smiling. I feel like the girl who was chosen, and that has never changed. He sat beside her. Do you remember? She asked softly. The day you found me in the burning city? Not all of it, he said. The part where I saw a scared little girl crawling through flames to protect someone else. That was my sister, she whispered. She didn't make it. But I carried her because I thought maybe if I was strong enough, someone would see me as more than weak. Kale reached for her hand. I saw you, he said. Even when I forgot you, my soul remembered. Lyra rested her head on his shoulder. Would you still choose me, she asked, if I lost the throne again? I didn't choose your crown. He said, I chose you when you had nothing. She closed her eyes, and I will choose you again, even when I have everything. In the years that followed, legends grew. They spoke of a queen who walked with iron legs and a human heart, a warrior who stood without armor because he never needed anything but purpose. Together, they ruled not with fear, but with memory. Not with fire, but with the strength of choosing each other again and again.